So there's lots of talk in the media about threats to schools and to children, whether it be safety threats, social threats, or curriculum changes that not everyone may agree with. However, I think a hugely overlooked problem for our students is that of oppression. As Kumashiro states in his article, oppression is a situation or dynamic in which certain ways of being are privileged in society while others are marginalized. This idea is perpetuated in so many ways that we don't even realize, and the biggest way that I have seen it is through telling the single story. So many of our textbooks, resources, and classroom dialogue revolves around the white, male, heteronormative narrative, something which I've especially noticed through teaching intermediate senior history. Telling only one narrative of a complex, multifaceted story invalidates the worth of the other narratives involved. Our students come from diverse backgrounds with their own versions and interpretations of our curriculum, so to only teach a single story does not give credit to the many narratives in our classroom. Again, Kumashiro states that our students have complex identities and do not define themselves based on one single thing. So while fighting oppression, we need to make sure we are not putting our students into boxes. We need to make sure that we are not defining our students as being one thing or being one individual, but that their identity is made up of so many different backgrounds, stories, ideas, beliefs, and we need to acknowledge this through what we teach in our classroom. A way that I propose we fix this is to investigate the non-dominant narratives. I have seen so much value in doing this through teaching intermediate senior English and history, and through it I have learned that there's always a different side or a different story to what I teach. If we give students the tools to inquire and investigate into the stories that we aren't telling, we can get them to appreciate the diversity present among the classroom and among their peers, as well as within the world. By doing this, we give our students the skills and the abilities necessary to really critique the society that we live in and how we tell the stories that we tell. The key to fighting oppression in the classroom is to get students to look at content from a variety of angles. So instead of just looking at how Canada was formed based on the John A. Macdonald story, we can take it even further and look at the Indigenous story, Turtle Island, and where we came from before we had the explorers come over to this side. We have to instill them with the critical thinking skills necessary to know when a story is true or when it is just the common narrative that we tell ourselves. Acknowledging that the one who holds the power is the one who writes the story allows students to begin deconstructing this idea by not just telling one single story, but by telling multiple of them so that no student feels oppressed by what we teach them because we are acknowledging every identity and all the diversity present in our class. In this way, we begin to align ourselves well with D'Angelo's claim that we need to admit that we benefit from racial privilege and become conscious of this fact in order to stop acting on it. As teachers, we have so much power in our classroom to change the way that our students view the world and how they think, and if we are only teaching them based from our racially privileged perspective, they aren't going to learn anything new about the world or about themselves. Once we, as a teacher, acknowledge privilege, we can begin to fight against the privilege that leads to the oppression of groups and individuals, allowing our students to do the same in the classroom and beyond, hopefully creating a more equitable, diverse, and inclusive society.